Hello, I'm Jonasz Rewiński and you're watching Break the Fake. They make them, we break them, and tell you everything you need to know. While millions of people in Ukraine are hiding in shelters, losing their homes, their loved ones and their futures, Russian filmmaker and metaphysical thinker Konstantin Bogomolyov is opening up new horizons of vision and perspective. Recently, the maestro, as some people actually call him, said that the war, which began 3 years ago, was a stroke of luck for the generation. And whoever did not see this as a creative impulse obviously did not understand the main thing here, that as a result of the war, we are forced to talk about the essential.
Я думаю, что то, что произошло 3 года назад, настолько радикально поменяло среду, в которой мы живем. Это в определенной степени удача нашего поколения, что мы находимся в этом историческом периоде, который заставляет нас говорить о сущностном. Ценность мишуры, как бы она ни сверкала, резко упала. Знаете, как глянец весь скукожился.
According to Bogomolyov, the problem is not that people are dying, but that we're afraid to face the catastrophe as an artistic phenomenon. Bogomolyov believes that the destroyed houses, broken windows and burned out cars are not a sign of a tragedy, but merely a decoration for a new era of culture. A kind of theatre of cruelty, only without tickets but with phosphorus munitions as special effects. According to this logic, if you see the shelling and don't feel aesthetic catharsis, you're just not ready for real art. But if you think this is the end of the story, well, think again. Just 2 days after his speech, Bogomolyov received the title of Honored Artist of the Russian Federation from none other than Putin himself. You know, it's a bit like Vlad, mildly amused at what he saw, said, good boy, here is a bone. And, well, so many people out there lose everything, their homes, their lives, and their country. The sophisticated aesthete Bogomolyov loses nothing, except perhaps for his connection with reality. For this guy, real pain and suffering is simply another means of artistic expression, as if this war was something abstract. And Putin, seemingly enjoying the chaos he has wrought, watches on, like a real-world Nero, at the burning of Rome, which, now that Moscow itself is also beginning to join the fun, courtesy of Ukrainian drones, is an even more fitting metaphor. Perhaps Bogomolyov can aid Putin in reflecting upon the essential. Belarusian state commentator and motivational speaker of the regime, Mr. Lazutkin, decided to solve the problem of youth migration with a single speech. His idea is simple yet spicy, like any good hot take you see on social media. If you go to Poland, you will be a second-class citizen. If you stay in Belarus, on the other hand, you can make a career for yourself as a state official, climbing the ladder under Lukashenko's watchful eye. So, Belarus as the land of opportunity, real or fake? Well, let's find out.
У нас есть, конечно, с чего вы начали, вот эта проблема, допустим, которая была там тоже всю жизнь, типа, уезжаем на Запад куда-то. Ну, когда нам рассказывают про какую-то страшную утечку мозгов, самое страшное была там 91-й, 2-й, 3-й год, когда уезжали там целые кафедры, целые научные коллективы, там, и семьи, понятно, все туда валили. То есть, туда на Запад уехало очень много, а потом, значит, началась обратная тенденция. Стали приезжать сюда уже вот это второе поколение, потому что там ниже социальные гарантии, там начинается какая-нибудь война, как в Израиле, постоянно они воюют. Короче, масса причин, чтобы потом сюда возвращаться. И более того, значит, та диаспора, которая там оказалась вот на Западе, неважно, русская, белорусская, она внутри себя женится, внутри себя создает семьи. Все равно в их обществе, там, неважно, европейском, американском, вы люди второго сорта, потому что вы там типа русские. И вы там никогда карьеру на госслужбе не сделаете, потому что вы там все натурализированные в лучшем случае, а то там и без гражданства живете. Ну, а здесь вы можете работать на государство, сделать государственную карьеру. Потому что никогда, уезжая в Польшу, вы министром не станете в жизни там, в этой Польше, даже там каким-то юристом, следователем, кем угодно. А здесь в Беларуси, пожалуйста, все дороги открыты, только нормально учись и показывай, что ты умеешь реально что-то делать.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but in Poland at least, you don't need to get a permission from your superiors to go ahead with any kind of, initiative. In Belarus, you can become a suspicious element because initiative is a sign of independent thought, which is almost a crime. Interestingly, Lazutkin promises a career to everyone who knows how to do something. Problem is that in Belarus, your career does not depend on what you do, but on how well you pretend to agree with everything the authorities do. Either you lie to yourself or to everybody else, but deception is the key. Now, you might be thinking, but wait, isn't it the same as with any other corporate job anywhere else? Well, you might have had a point, except that in Belarus, being fired might be the least of your problems if you become, too much of a free thinker. Don't believe me? Ask one of a few hundred political prisoners still in Lukashenko's jails. And then there is the rather more mundane issue of the average salary. In Belarus, it's about 700 euros. In neighboring Poland, it's about 2,000. Do the math. Lazutkin also said, out there, you're nobody. Right here, you are someone. But people are not leaving for status. They are leaving for predictability, normal salaries, rights, and the opportunity not to lie and sign letters in support of repression. If being second class means living without fear, then the choice is kind of obvious. If being first class means praising the government and dreaming of being noticed at the Patriots of the Future Forum, then thank you, we'll pass on that one. Also, the irony of it all is that the regime in Belarus is guilty of another sin here, namely hypocrisy. It tells its people to stay because their country needs them and all that, all the while it keeps sending migrants into Europe on purpose to destabilize its neighbors. Lukashenko's hybrid war on the European Union is a fact established back in 2021 when the first waves of foreign nationals began storming the Polish border. Now, those people were never told Belarus was the land of milk and honey. Quite the opposite. They were lured to the border by tales of safe passage into the European Union. And when they saw barbed wire and armed guards instead and wanted to turn back, their Belarusian friends politely wagged their fingers in disapproval. But then, I guess we should never have expected consistency from a regime descended from Soviet communism, a system that preached unity among the working class, while its own elites wallowed in ill-gotten wealth. Now, since we're talking about the most popular propagandists here, weird changes are afoot in the dark corners of Russian media. Margarita Simonian is no longer the most absurd voice on the air. That prize goes to Vladimir Solovyov, who's recently taken on the role of a nuclear shaman, threatening the West with a new kind of weapon.
Впервые в нашей истории воюем в одиночку со всем Западом. И весь Запад ополчился против нас, как когда-то это задумал Тамерлан. Может ли он развернуться и уйти? Может, если столкнется, как столкнулся с Тамерлан, с чем-то более для себя значимым. Не думаю, что на них произведет впечатление явившийся им вдруг во сне Владимирская Богоматерь с каким угодно небесным воинством. Они давным-давно безбожники, они давным-давно такие же кусочки ногтей Антихриста, как Пашинян. Они над этим только посмеются, но у них могут произойти внутренние потрясения, могут же. В Америке, Европе, что-то такое внутреннее, что их от этого отвлечет.
Мой вариант нельзя?
Который? Из
Сармат или Посейдон?
Это второе.
Прекрасно работает. Вот нет Британии,
Володь,
и сразу Германия одинока.
Russian propaganda is going through a new phase, an unofficial who said it worst competition. Ratings are measured not by viewers, but by sheer shock value. And while Russian propagandists are threatening everyone, everywhere, all at once, we're here, watching the show with a tub of popcorn. And by the way, it is this kind of show. I'm not sure if I can actually say it, but this is a show involving something that Vladimir Putin keeps flinging at everyone, according to President Donald Trump. I think you know what I'm talking about. Now, against the backdrop of all these ultimatums, Europe seems to be strengthening its support for Ukraine. Because if a TV pundit is threatening you with an apocalyptic fantasy, you really want the good guys to be armed to the teeth. That's just the way it is. And with this, we end this episode of Break the Fake. Please stay with us here on TVP World for more latest news and updates.